Uh, a very good evening to the distinguished panelists and the participants in this webinar. I take this opportunity to welcome you all on behalf of Risk Management Association of India to the launch of our first online certificate program in risk management, which would be jointly offered by RMAI and AICP London. Today we have with us some of the eminent personalities on the subject of risk management who will share their valuable insights and help us to be better prepared in a risk-resilient future. I shall be introducing each one of them a little later. COVID-19 is being considered as a black swan event of the century, and the learnings will perhaps change the world forever. The word risk assumed a lot of significance during this 100-day period and perhaps became a common man lingo in almost no time. That's when we started engaging with the industry experts to understand how RMAI can play a meaningful role in spreading risk literacy. Bolstered with encouraging response and support pouring in from all corners, we decided to develop online certificate course in risk management, and it gives me immense pleasure to share that within 60 days of lockdown period, we are today ready to enter this world of online education in a specialized subjects like risk management. So the new normal is the buzzword these days, and one of the primary consideration of the new normal is continuously upgrade and reskill our own self, and in some cases also even to unlearn. RMAI is extremely delighted to share with you that we have entered into a strategic partnership with AICP London, and RMAI shall represent AICP across Asia to promote the development and awareness of risk management and allied subjects. We extend our heartfelt gratitude and sincere appreciation to Mr. Tom, who has been proactive in extending his support to stitch this partnership together in a very short time. I thank Mr. Tom for joining us in today's webinar. We have received exceptional response for this course with enrollments from Nepal, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and of course from India. Thank you all the participants for joining. RMAI has partnered with smartonlinecourse.org, the digital learning partner, and all the course will be delivered through the portal smartonlinecourse.org. On this auspicious occasion of the launch of first full-fledged dedicated course on risk management, we extend our sincere gratitude to our founder, Sri Ramgopal Agrawal, who is the current president. His vision for more than 2 decades have been propelling us to continuously explore and innovate newer delivery models. I'd also like to thank all governing council members, advisory council members, and our industry experts whose wholehearted support enabled us to reach the milestone. A special thanks to our faculty members, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, whose contribution in this course has been exceptional, and Mr. Prantik Mitra, and all experts who are contributing in this course. I also welcome Dr. Adil Alirafi, President and Chief Executive, Institute of Risk and Resilience, Saudi Arabia, and Dr. Kamran Ahmed Siddiqui. Before I invite the panelists, I would just like to introduce our organization. RMAI is an NGO engaged in promotion of risk management culture in India and other countries. The basic objective of our association is to promote awareness about risk management and act as a platform for risk managers, insurance professionals, bankers, corporates to share ideas and thoughts for development of the industry. Our activities include publishing bulletins, organizing seminars, repository of information on internet, on our website rmaindia.org, organizing technical research contests and so on. In last few months, we organized many webinars and we shall continue to do so. Here is a list of our governing council members. our president, Mr. R.J. Agarwal, and Professor Abhijit Chaturaj is the vice president, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, and Mr. K.L. Naik. He has been he's an expert in reinsurance and authority on the subject. And we have a lot of eminent persons from the industry in our advisory council, Mr. B.D. Banerjee, Mr. Kamalji Sahai, Mr. Srinivasan, Mr. Mishra. And again, we have industry experts from different segments who are with us. And our brand ambassador, Mr. Diabani at Saudi Arabia. So we organized this seminar last year in Mumbai. And we have all these tie-ups with the Chartered Insurance Institute, BIMTech, AICP, and Institute of Risk Resilience. We just entered into the MOU a week back. We have partnered with BIFN. So now I'd like to hand over the session to, I'd invite Mr. Mishra. Just before that, I would like to briefly introduce him. Mr. K.K. Mishra has spent over 36 years in the insurance industry, actively engaged, and is having experience in all aspects of general insurance. He joined AIG as vice president in the year 2000 and subsequently retired as managing director and chief executive officer of Tata AIG. The company achieved many milestones under his leadership. Currently, he is independent director in 2 companies and a mentor of a startup. We would now invite Mr. Mishra to have his perspective about risk management, overview of risk management and how the things need to go forward after this COVID event. Mr. Mishra, please.
Good evening, Dr. Agarwal. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks to RMAI for starting this course. It's very important in this crazy time. I use the word crazy time because the world is topsy-turvy right now. Nobody is sure that how India will move or the world will move. If you recollect the numbers, May end was 1,86,000 active cases in India. Today it's 5,85,000. 4 lakh in 1 month. Nobody predicted it, and nobody can predict that what's going to happen in next 3-4 months. The point comes that did we know about it? And this is there where the risk management comes into play. I recollect way back in when I was a student of engineering college, one of the subjects was public health, and there was a specific subject on pandemic. And my professor always said that pandemic is one area which people will never think will happen to their country, but it keeps coming up. So, why I am giving the background that the fundamental of risk management, I'll talk about it, but I thank RMAI to start this certification course because risk management, as you know, that ISO 3000, 31,000 has already formulated standards about risk management. And that naturally the people who are joining this course, they will know about it later on. But let me define risk management. Risk management is part of our life. From the day you start studying the school or college, some teacher tells you what are the areas which you have to be careful. Now, we don't define at that time the risk management, but if you travel from one point to another point, there is always a route which you prefer to go by a route which is safe and which is right. So what are the areas we look into? When I talk about risk management, and the people who will be joining this course, risk management is part of our life, and if you don't understand that, this certification course will make you understand better. And today, the word VUCA, VUCA, was in news 4 or 5 years back. Even today, it's very important to define that it's volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Nothing goes away. You spoke about black swan. The latest theory is about this is gray rhino because people knew about it. There is a pandemic possibility, but they avoided it. And I must thank that at least Wimbledon, they always ensured Wimbledon matches for almost 20 years. They paid heavily for that because that risk management, I must say, that they did anticipate and somebody there was aware that it can happen anytime. So coming back to insurance or financial sector or engineering sector or even governance or even education, each area has a aspect of risk management. To define, if I want to define, uh, first thing you have to understand, you have to identify. Once you identify 10 parameters which you feel that can be risk for you, you have to look for the opportunities out of that, and that you have to analyze that whether the risk is identifiable. If it's identifiable, can I analyze that it's going to be a threat or it's going to be opportunity? Once you do that, evaluate it's going to help your organization or it's going to uh, create problem for your organization. And once you decide, then treat the risk. Treat the risk as per your appetite, because each one knows that what he can go up to and what he can not do. So they have to treat the risk, and finally, once you have put the parameters, you have to monitor and review. So, to make it very simple, risk management is nothing but day-to-day management of any organization, any enterprise, and the insurance comes to only when you evaluate and treat the risk by uh, of onboarding or trying to say that okay, that area I can't cover, so you go for insurance to take care of the risk which is unknown to you, which is uncertain, and which is ambiguous. So that's the point that insurance comes into big play on the risk management. Today, the boards are uh, involved with ESG, environment, social, and the governance. Now, the part of that is that they have to look into the areas that what are the environmental issues, what are the social issues, what are the governance issues, and all these have risks, doubts, and there are opportunities also. Like look at COVID. COVID was a big risk, and the pandemic was a big risk. But today, the fallout is that many of the organizations will find that they may not need to continue in a big offices in Mumbai or Delhi or Calcutta. The so-called high-rise buildings will not have the same value which they had before the COVID. Tomorrow, the health organizations will be more careful about preparing for the future. So, this situation has brought in a very right approach to all of us to look into risks with a due respect and due uh, examination. And again, why I wanted to be part of this panel, I am of the view that Risk Management Association of India has taken a very right decision to understand and make people understand, the young people, particularly those who have not been exposed to risk management, how to go about it. And they can use it whether they work for the financial company, they work for insurance company, they work for engineering company, or they work for fintech, or they work for governance, or they work for the flood management, or they work for any NGO. Each one has an aspect they have to look into risks which their organization faces. And I'm not only talking about the organizations, I talk about any governance panel, any board of management, anybody who is active in his life, he has to manage his risks. And I don't want to define risk because I don't want to take the opportunity of what Mr. My esteemed panel will talk about and Mr. Alwal will talk about. So I'll not define today. I'll only say the young people who has not been exposed, they should go to ISO 31000 2018 and 2019. There is a brochure, free brochure, which they will, in any case, if, RMI will also advise them to go into. And they will also talk about what are the possibilities which in future will come into. So I'll not define risk. I'll leave this. I only want to say, as a practicing risk manager, or I started my career in insurance also as a part of risk engineer also, and that was main for the industrial areas. But industrial areas are still much better, and financial institutions, particularly educational institutions and research institutions and governance, they need more insight in the risk management, and the younger generation has to be very careful. And I before I close, I remind people of the 1920 First World War has started. The graduates who came out of the colleges in 1919 or 1920, they faced First World War, they faced plague, they faced 1935 depression, they faced Second World War, and the world progressed after that. India got independence in 47. So the people who were young at 1920, same situation will happen with the 2020. And I wish all the young people who are listening that they have a bright future. They have things will improve and the time will pass. This will also pass. So all the best to all the participants, all the best to the panelists, and stay safe, stay well, stay remain healthy, and look for the vaccine and look for keeping yourself completely safe. Thank you, Mr. Agrawal. If you want one again, I'll come back on the
Yeah.
panel. But right now, enough from me. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, RMAI.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra, for setting the pace of this webinar, uh, and for your encouraging words. Now, we would like to invite Mr. Tom. Uh, so, Mr. Tom, his career spans industrial finance, banking, procurement, writing, consultancy, and training.
I can indeed, Dr. Roberts. I've been listening very carefully to the words there and what you've been saying before. First of all, may I say thank you very much, Dr. Alwal, for actually inviting me to this.
No, sir, our pleasure. Our pleasure.
It's what I would say is anyone going into risk management have embarked probably on one of the most interesting careers and one of the most interesting aspects of business. I've been in business for quite a few years, and in one form or the other. And it was only in the late 1990s that someone said to me, "Oh, well, we're going to be looking at internal controls." And I looked back and I thought, well, I don't know anything about internal controls. And I explained it to me, I said, and he explained it to me, and I thought, well, hang on a moment. This is something I've been doing all my life. So it's not coming as anything new to me. It's part of everyday management. So I felt that if that's part of everyday management, every manager should know what is going on. They should know how to apply.
দিবাকর তুমি দেখোনি দেখছো না দেখেছো এটা
Okay.
Yeah, please continue.
Oh, I'll be okay. Fine. So I looked at this very closely and I thought, fine, all this can do is improve my skills. in every aspect. So, and that's what I did. I took the risk management internal control under the banner of corporate governance. Fortunately, I was working at a very high level in the bank. I was working with the chief executive, deputy chief executive. And from then on, because I was invited in to look at the risks in procurement operations, and we were spending 2 billion pounds a year on services on procurement. Controls were zero. We were spending 5 million on sponsorship. World Cup cricket, for example, which I know you're all going to be familiar with. No controls whatsoever. So I renegotiated deals and put the controls into place. Now that started me off on this trail. But what I would say to people taking this course, I've looked at the program here. It's got everything in terms of risk management that people would need to look at. What I would say is that when you look at risk management, look at it under the umbrella of corporate governance and internal control, because that's where the power comes from. Power comes from the boardroom in this particular area. It can't come from anywhere else. I was at an insurance company in London just before the lockdown came, and they wanted me to look at all their internal controls and compliance and goodness knows what. So I said, look, where does your risk management team fit into this? And how do they associate with the client, with the line management? No, they don't get involved very much, was the answer. This was a very senior man. I said, you're kidding me. I said, the risk management team, when are they called in? Well, they're called in once the manager has made the decision of what risks they're going to take, and they will follow through on that. That is wrong. Do not go into risk management on that basis. This particular course has got the key ingredients. It's got the environment and the stakeholders. Risk manager has got to work with the stakeholders. Got to be able to communicate. Good communication is going to be the key to this particular job. What else we got? Risk strategy linked to corporate governance, wonderful. The framework is simply the processes, everything that goes together to make up a good business structure. So that is going to be very, very interesting for you. What I would say now, and I made a note of this because I made a note of there's flaws in risk management at the moment. In some of the bigger companies, particularly in the UK, and I've spoken to a lot of risk managers over this past few years, they're sitting in silos. Got to get yourself out of a silo once this course is finished. Get into talking to the management. Get into the strategic element of the program, and this program will set you up nicely for that. Now, I've got flaws. I'm going to read these to you. Often driven by auditors and staff, whereas it should be driven from the top down. Management drive risk management, senior management. Overly focused on financial reporting controls. Often rules-based instead of performance and principle-based. Off-the-shelf systems are used instead of tailoring the system to the organization. Mainly hard controls that do not recognize culture and attitude, seen as an overhead rather than as a sound investment. This is all to do with the business and angle of the risk management side, because you're going to learn everything else from this particular course. So I won't touch on that. But what I've also found over the years is there's levels of maturity in internal control and risk management. Level 1, non-existent in some areas. Level 2, internal control only, mainly focused on external financial reporting. Level 3 in silo, internal control, complemented by risk management, still being seen as two separate areas. Try and avoid that. Try and avoid that. The target has got to be to integrate the package, integrate risk management, control, and governance. And that way, you come out of this extremely well. Dr. Valve, you mentioned procurement. Procurement's an interesting one. I haven't got a speech prepared for you here, but I will tell you what happened in procurement. I was invited up to the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply last year, and they said, we want to talk about risk management, resilience in supplier groups, that kind of thing. I said, well, so I traveled 3 hours there, 3 hours back driving. While I was there, I said to them, look, resilience, risk is all part of procurement, and it has been since the Romans were walking up the roads in the UK. Nothing has changed. Risk is there. It's how you deal with it that is the key. I just felt that a lot of businesses were behind. So now we're getting to a situation, thanks to your course here, where businesses and people are now looking more closely at the risk management, governance, control situation. It's good for management, good for the company, and it's certainly good career-wise, because I frequently see risk management jobs, wish I could apply for them, frequently advertised in many countries. People write to me and say, can you find me a job? Well, I'm not in the employment business. But there are so many opportunities if you can present yourself properly. And I think this course will help you to do that. It'll enable you to sit down in front of the people who are employing people, changing jobs. Okay, difficult in the lockdown, I know. But you will be able to sit down and talk intelligently about internal control, governance, risk management. Whereas maybe just now, with no disrespect meant to anyone attending the course, that may not be the case. But you'll also be able to show your own company the value of risk, the value of risk management, the value of internal control, compliance. On procurement front, just going back to that, I happened to be, of all places, in Bahrain. And I thought this is a risk in itself, because I got to the security area, they took my passport, they took my mobile phone, I had to get through 4 security guards with guns before I actually got into the, it was an oil company, you can imagine. But what they asked me to do there was to set up a compliance unit, which is between risk management, between internal control, between internal audit. So you've got a number of areas here which I think you need to be looking at and bringing into your own level of business. Compliance. That's a real huge topic. Risk management, big topic. Internal control, big topic. You're going into this in what, over 8 weeks?
Yes, 8 weeks.
8 weeks, 30 hours.
Yes.
I tell you, I have a habit of writing a lot of these courses. Not yours, Dr. Adwell, definitely not yours. Yours will be much better than mine.
No, we will be inviting you in future to write the courses also.
But we have. It's a very, very interesting topic. What more can I say on it? I think you can sit down with the attendees after the course is finished. They can sit down with their manager and talk intelligently about areas where the business may be doing things really well or may not. My personal view is that businesses will be pleased to sit down and listen, because we're working in an extremely difficult area of risk now. We've got not only the business risks, but you've got the strategic risks the businesses are facing. They're facing the pandemic, for one thing. They are facing environmental risks, even piracy. You don't get away from risk. This is big business, but you have the opportunity now to learn how to deal with it. And I'm sure that won't be your first course with the Risk Management Association of India, because once you get this under your hat, you will be back. I'm absolutely convinced, and we'll be there to support you.
So I think, Mr. Tom, you put the perspective in the right tone, and you motivated the participants to have a good career in risk management. And thanks for all your words. Now I would like to invite Mr. Reedy Banerjee. Mr. Banerjee is one of the most senior person from the insurance industry. He was a direct recruit LIC officer of 1964, who went on to become chairman and managing director of Oriental Insurance in 1999, being an additional charge along with his position as GIC MD. In 2000, he assumed the charge of CMD of Oriental Insurance and was also given the additional charge of CMD of National. Prior to that, he was managing director GIC Mumbai in 98, between 1998 and 99. Currently, he is independent director in board of many companies, and he is in our advisory council board. So somehow we could not connect with, due to technical glitch, we could not connect with Mr. Banerjee online. So we are playing we are connecting with him on audio. So I'll just play the audio for you. Please listen. There might be little slow in sound. You can put your audio phones on.
Good evening to all of you. Good evening to all of you, gentlemen. It's my regret that due to a technical glitch, I'm not able to participate physically that way. But nonetheless, it's my pleasure to greet you all this evening to this web meeting as arranged by Dr. Rakesh Agarwal, the host and the Secretary General of Risk Management Association of India. This is a unique program, the first e-learning 8-week program in collaboration with AICP, London, UK. I welcome individually all of you, eminent speakers and presenters, and most of you are my colleagues, Mr. K.K. Misra, Advisory Council member, Professor Dr. Avijit Chattaraj, Governing Council member, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, who is the Joint Secretary of RMAI and Governing Council member, and of course Dr. Rakesh Agarwal, the Secretary General, and the other illustrious gentleman, Mr. Tom MacLeod, is the CEO of AICP, London, UK. I greet you sincerely from my personal core. It's indeed a matter of satisfaction that the Risk Management Association of India is launching their first ever online 8-week certification course on risk management jointly with Association of Internal Control and Practitioners, AICP, London, UK, from today. and the participants are there listening to the proceedings. It's also significant that RMAI is holding this program at a time when virtually the entire world is reeling under the worst ever devastation by a single health hazard that has threatened human existence, and we are all trying to mitigate the impact on our lives and livelihood to find a durable answer to overcome the crisis. Indeed, it's a very crucial time that the meaning and import of entire risk management will assume greater significance. I am aware that the eminent speakers have spoken on various aspects of risk management and the ways of control, mitigation, and maybe transfer mechanisms also through insurance and other means. In fact, virtually the entire spectrum of the risk management that would be relevant may have been covered. I have therefore decided to speak only on a very few critical areas concerning the health, stability, and excellence of any organization, those who will follow the risk management techniques and develop the capabilities to perceive the risk inherent. I mean, I'm taking this point only, which will put the whole thing in proper perspective. Risk management has been going on for ages, and without our knowing also we have been doing. Perhaps since life started, and also in the animal world and various other species, we see that there is an instinct of survival of the fittest, as propounded by Darwin. In our day-to-day life, in our various activities, we're constantly adjusting ourselves to the needs of the situation by managing various issues within ourselves. Still, a few points emerge for consideration. I personally feel that the ability to perceive the risk has to be developed. And the ability to perceive the risk will give us an extra eye, I call it an X-ray eye, to find the potential evidence of a risk. And then we go for identification of the risk, analysis of the risk, evaluation of the risk with the contingency, frequency, and severity. And if that really threatens, we try to control those risks, which is affecting our earning capacity, and we try to manage or transfer those. In our insurance parlance, we call pure risks, act of God perils, natural perils, catastrophe risks, or we even go to man-made terrorism risks, which can cause elemental losses, and we try to transfer these losses, because any organization will be totally obliterated if they keep them on their account. So what is the need? The need is comprehensive risk analysis and evaluation that will affect our operations and business continuity. So we need to protect those. I come from this a question that I often ask myself: why companies fail? With all these knowledges, if we have in our possession, why at all the companies will fail? If I simply put it, the companies fail through unguarded internal and external risks. I put it broadly. And I go deep into this and say that systems and procedures fail to adjust the changing environment. It led to market failure. Yes, you fail to get the customer. Acquisition, taste have changed. They changed the companies. We fail to adjust. Or pursuing non-core activities with aggressive risk taking. We have to have numbers, no? And we have to, numbers means we aggressively go on taking risks. When the issue of financial irregularities come, really everybody's blood will boil. People take monies from banks, financial institutions, and don't return. India is fighting presently with many fugitives abroad and struggling to bring them back to India. And we all know what has happened to the poor bankers. Banks and financial institutions, what are they doing? There could be a strategy failure. Projections and performance mismatch completely. And over a period of time this happens, then the company's results are known. And finally, friends, I would put the leadership failure as the most important point of failure of companies. The perspicacity and vision that is required of a leader being endowed with the entire knowledge base and the company's operations, know your men, the people with whom you are handling the affairs, the entire thing comes into play. Now all these, the companies and all that, I'm driven to the next important question of governance. The issue of governance is most important. I go on a spree, but who controls me? I'm controlled by the top management. There's a committee discussions, and I'm controlled by my board. Entire risk management process leads us to governance. And the governance by the top management and the board becomes palpable when, particularly at the strategy meets, the board deliberates nitty-gritties and lays down their year-long activities, and maybe with rollover 3 years, 5 years for the company's standing. The board is assisted by various committees, but to my mind, 2 committees are very strong and very, very critical. One is audit committee and the second is risk management committee. And both are mandatory committees. And in the risk management committee, which is our concern now, the committee would be prioritizing the various risks and putting a value, relative importance, impact, and the impact on the financials, people, HR, entire thing. So this role of RMC, Risk Management Committee, is very important, very crucial. And that is the key to hold, and where these committees work in tandem and give proper advice to the board, I think that board is very strong. How deep is the analysis to view not only the unanticipated, but the imponderables and the unimaginables, unthinkables do matter in the comprehensiveness to stay in contention and add value. And I personally feel that this is very critical, that with all these, the business excellence comes into fore. You can be excellent, still more excellent, and still more excellent, because there is no finishing line for excellence. And the business excellence is all that adding value to your shareholders and stakeholders is all that the board is standing for. And I think entire thing comes under the risk management frame, and the participants will get a very broad, bird's eye view on all these, will be benefited by this. I especially thank Dr. R. Rakesh Agarwal, Secretary General of Risk Management Association, for inviting me to be a part of the process of inauguration of this initiative. I also thank my colleagues and friends in the industry who are eminent speakers and presenters today. And I especially thank Mr. Tom McLeod for spending his time to make this occasion a momentous one. As RMAI and AICP move to inaugurate the e-learning online course with all serious and sincere participants to make it a great success. And with all this, I have very great pleasure in declaring this inauguration. And Mr. Agarwal, I request you now to take over and carry on the further proceedings. Thank you very much.
Risk management. Now, this is a key question as how to address the risk which is identified that may derail the achievement of objective. It is very similar position as what medicine doctor should write that can cure the patient. In risk management, there are 4 medicines or 4 ways through which risk can be mitigated. They are: you can avoid the risk, you can manage the risk, you can transfer the risk, and you can accept the risk. Let's take one by one. Acceptance of risk. The first option that is available with the risk professional is to accept the risk. But you cannot accept every risk. You accept only those risks that have low likelihood and low impact. You will find that such risks are within your acceptance range or within your risk appetite. In the insurance business, those who are healthy proposals are accepted for insurance at a standard premium rate. Similarly, in the banking sector, customers with good credit rating are accepted for giving loan at standard interest rate. Such risks can be accepted and does not require anything else. Next, managing the risk. The second option which the risk professional is to manage the risk. Such risks are generally high on likelihood and low on impact scale. In the insurance business, certain customers are non-standard lives, such as customers with diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, etc. Such customers are accepted with insurance company with extra premium. Here, the chances of making claim are higher, so they are categorized under the separate bucket to manage the risk. Similarly, in the banking industry, those customers with poorer credit rating are accepted for loan with higher interest rate to manage the risk with a higher premium. So when organizations see that the likelihood of claim is high but the impact is low, they accept and manage the risk. Another practical example of management of risk is wearing a seat belt while driving or wearing a helmet when driving a two-wheeler, having a sprinkler system are the examples. Next we look at transfer of risk. The third option with the risk professionals is to transfer the risk. Those risks that are low in likelihood and high on impact are transferred to the third party. Such risks under the insurance business are those risks which are either of very high value, say more than 5 million, or very substandard life where the impact of claim will be very high. Such risks are reinsured with the reinsurance company by paying a premium to the reinsurer. So insurance company transfer the risk to the reinsurance company. Think about what could be other risks that can be transferred to the third party. The next option is avoidance of risk. Those risks that are high in likelihood and high in impact should be avoided. Those customers of bank with very high default rate on repayment of loan will be declined for loan as bank want to avoid giving such loan to customers. Such risks are outside the appetite of the company. We are in a lockdown situation because we want to avoid the risk of contraction of COVID virus. Let's look at residual risk. Risk mitigation help in reducing the overall risk to the company. It is possible that after applying the risk mitigation, some risks still remain with the company. Such risks are referred as residual risk. The residual risk should be within the risk appetite of the company.
Rakeshji,
Yeah.
uh, one formally,
Yes.
we all have to, Mr. K.K. Mishra and Mr. Tom should say this, not
Yeah,
formally.
please. Yes, please.
Please. Mishra sir and
Are you
I welcome Mr. Tom first to say.
declare this trading open.
no? What can I add? I think
Just a minute, sir. Just a minute. You have to declare this trading open only. This is. You have to tell that this trading is open, sir. You have to declare this trading is open.
Oh, thank you. I have the greatest of pleasure in opening this this event. I think it's going to be wonderful. My thanks to the many delegates who are attending, and I wish them every luck with the program. All I can say is you will enjoy it a lot.
Thank you, Mr.
On behalf of Senior Mr. Agarwal, I take the opportunity of starting or inaugurating this course, and I appreciate Mr. Shonaj and Dr. Rakesh for finalizing this course, and I declare it inaugurated. Thank you very much. All the best to all young participants. I was just noting that almost 101 people are on the live, almost more than 50% registered. So I welcome all of them for this new course. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
Rakesh
Mr.
ji.
Sanjay.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Rakesh. And uh, I think, it is a very proud moment that we are going to have our risk management online course. And I think it was long due, and we have been thinking about having this course for a long time, but it always take time to basically get the things together. And this time everything worked out, and we have stitched this course together. uh, Everybody has spoken about the importance of risk management, and the way things are turning it out in terms of COVID situation around the world. 2008 economic crisis happened. So every 20 years something is happening, and world is learning. But I think this is not a good way of learning. Uh, Learning should be proactive. Learning should not be based on the event happen and then you learn. I would not recommend this is as a good way of learning, especially as a risk management professional. So so what can we do? That of course there are a lot of things to be done. When just in the morning I saw that some 1,500 jobs have been laid off in British Airways. 15,000 jobs have been laid off in Airbus. What does indicate? Um are we ready? Uh, what is wrong with the strategy? It means that the strategy that we are preparing, it works only under business as usual. And whenever the stress comes, in that case, it breaks down. I would question the entire education system. It means that our entire education system is made only for the times when things are going fine. It is not working when it's stressed out, right? That's where is the need. We have to develop kind of a position when we shall able to withstand this kind of a scenario. I remember after 2008 people used to ask the question that how we can avoid 2008. Now we have got 2020. What is the guarantee there will not be 2035? And what is the guarantee there will not be 2050? Right? So I think that's where we are heading. And risk management, what we have done in last 20-25 years, is perhaps very minuscule and lot to be done. For that, it requires a structured course, a proper thought process, because the way the frontline people think and the way risk professional thinks, there is a difference. There's a difference in the thought process. It's a difference of what if thinking. There's a question that you've asked, what if, about the decision making, right? So it requires a systematic thinking process, and every course, whether it is mathematics or it is a physics or it is a statistics, it has its own music, it has its own grammar. Similarly, risk management has its own grammar, and unless or until we do not learn that, there will always be a gap in our learning process. There may be people who have grown up to become a risk professional through experience, right? Um, that's great, right? But it requires a systematic, so that uh, mm, whenever the situation comes, mind goes in the right direction to pull up the right questions and question it, that so that the problem is addressed. So what this is going to do is to create a right structure thinking process. And we also wanted that the course should be affordable. It should not be out of the reach of the people. So we wanted to have something which is well within the pocket of the people. So this is what is required. The objective of the course is basically the people, once they learn and go back, to their office, to their workplace, they are able to apply it. And that's the ultimate litmus test will be that those people who are doing it, they will be able to apply. And that's where the value addition will come. And that's what the risk management is all about, the value addition. So during the course, our focus will be on how you can add value, how you can structure it, how you can think it, so that when you go back to your business, you can add value, and you can identify the risk, and you can find the mitigation action, because these are the two key things, right? So in terms of the course structure that we have created is based on your own comfort. You can learn it at your own time. In between, we have also asked the experts, those guest speakers, they will come and share, because experience is something which cannot be purchased from anywhere. And that's why we want to bring experienced people and interact with you after every module, perhaps, or after two modules, so that you get a practical perspective. That's one thing. Another is that there will be few interactive sessions where there will be an opportunity to ask the questions, ask the doubt. The purpose is to educate, and it does not matter how many times you ask the question. So it's our objective that you learn it, right? Then it comes, what are the some of the success factors. What I have seen from my own personal experience is that to be a good risk management professional, and I always compare risk management professional with a doctor, and you have to be right on your toes, because doctor solve the problem of a patient, and risk managers solve the problem of institution, organization, right? And if you are not up to date, you are definitely going to miss many of the buses. So one of the key success factors is to keep yourself updated. At the end of this 8 week of journey, it will not be the end, and that will be the beginning, because it's not like you have done MBBS, close to your books, and say I am now a doctor, right? So the journey will not end here, the journey will start. So welcome everybody to the beginning of beginning the journey, because your actual journey will begin when the course will end. So it's a beginning. And as you know, the Tom has explained almost the entire structure of the course. And we have tried to bring possibly everything into the course, so that it develops a right thinking process. First, initially, we have given on the overall the entire risk management process in the first module. Second is, of course, very important, but often neglected. How does stakeholders and environment? It has a key role, and if you look at many of the failures in the past, it's the avoidance of the environment, which people have not seen and avoided. That's the reason why many of the risks has triggered in the past, right? So the understanding of environment is very important. Then we have got corporate governance and strategy, and I can make almost sure that your risk management is going to fail if your corporate governance has got holes. It cannot succeed. It's impossible, right? So understanding of corporate governance is very important, and it plays a key role in the it they goes in sync, right? If we have a strong corporate governance and no risk management, that's that's I would say better than having a good risk management than and no corporate governance, right? So it has to go together. And because strategies plays everything about the future, and risk is about the future, so good understanding of the strategy is again very important. So we are trying to stitch in a way that what the risk is, and how does risk basically precipitate when it actually comes. Then we have got, in detail the process of risk management, risk management process, then different types of risks. Then we have, especially kept emerging risk, because that's where the focus should be. And we should have a vision, or rather, I always say, we should be able to smell the risk. Like just today, um I posted on LinkedIn that there is one more flu have been identified in China, right? Which could be as bad as COVID. So it's a time now for you or for any risk profession to smell the risk, because that could be another COVID in 6 months' time, and it will be double the COVID if we ignore that. So remember the time 2019 December, we were a bit reluctant, and we all are paying the price. So it's a habit of smelling the risk, and I always say it's always is smoke before the fire, and we always ignore the smoke, and the fire always comes out, right? So that's why we have got the emerging risk, right? Then types of risk, and in the end we have kept model, so that when you are estimating the risk, we shall not go into the statistics of the models, but at a generic level understanding, because in the estimation of risk, you cannot quantify the risk unless or until you have the idea about some techniques of how to quantify the risk. So we're trying to package it together with all the ingredients required to be a good risk management professional of the coming time. And in coming time, I think you will be the brand ambassadors of this course, and we are open, and we shall be happy to assist in all possible ways. And as I said, that the objective is so that you can apply, learn, and uh, so and in the end we have got a project. We have kept project because you can apply. There is exam also, and there is some percentage of passing percentage. And I will not scare you, but exam will not be a cakewalk. I can tell it in advance, right? So this is what from my side, that take it in a full spirit. We shall supply all the possible help from our side. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Sanjoy, for summarizing the course beautifully. So this live session always carries the risk of technical glitches. And in order to manage this risk, we are recording the lectures and uploading it online so that you can view the courses smoothly anytime. And now I'd like to invite Professor Dr. Chaturaj for the closing comments.
Thank you so much, everybody out here. It was always a dream how Risk Management Association of India would shape up in the years to come. Those who were associated with Risk Management Association of India right from the beginning, we had a deep dream, and we cherish this dream that Risk Management Association of India will become the torchbearer in days to come, as far as risk education, as far as taking forward the risk education is concerned. And that great later day has arrived today, and it's a matter of great gratification for all of us associated with Risk Management Association of India. It has been a long journey, but a very rewarding journey, as I must say. We were also looking at somebody, some institution with global expertise who can team up with RMAI to bring the best global practices to students who are in India. And I'm extremely thankful that AICP has come forward. Thanks, Mr. Tom, for leading all the supports. We will learn by the best global practices. The kind of the wealth of experience, knowledge that your institution has, we are sure that will be shared with us. That's what we want to do in the Risk Management Association of India. Unfortunately, in India, the risk behavior and the risk culture both are missing. I was listening to Prime Minister of India yesterday, and he said, once the unlocking took place, the behavior of people who were so good in the beginning, they started behaving in a very in a manner that will not really stop the spread of this virus, but on the other, but aggravate things in days to come. So two things that we need to really work at is that we need to work for the kind of risk behavior. That's very important. And also, we need to develop risk culture in days to come. And I'm sure RMAI will stand both the tests in days to come. We are very fortunate, the kind of people who are associated with RMAI, the kind of support we get from these senior people like Mr. Reedy Banerjee, Mr. K.K. Mishra, Mr. Srinivasan, and Mr. Kamalji Sahai. I may have missed some of the names, pardon me for that. But whoever are there, they are really contributing a very selfless manner. It's an NGO which runs without any support. We don't have even small seed money to take forward the things at RMAI. So from scratch, RMAI has worked, and today it has worked to their strength with the help of all these people, all these experts who have really, really helped the cause of RMAI. And I'm assured that we will continue getting their support in days to come. With this few words, as we know, that business resilience is rapidly changing in coronavirus world, and things will be very, very difficult in days to come. But if you really need to navigate this difficult situation, I believe 5 things must have to be done. And those 5 things, 5 R's, we must have the strong resolve, the resolve that will come out of it. This is not going to stay permanently, and we have already shown that kind of resolve. The second thing is resilience, and we are showing that resilience, and the resilience is coming in different forms. The third R is we'll return. We'll come to this. We have this what we call new normal or future normal, but we will come back to the actual normal, and that's where the word return is so important. Then the fourth R is reimagination. We have to imagine it in a very, very different way. Things that were the way we were performing things in the past before Corona the virus started affecting our life. Things have really changed and changed for good. And that will be the new normal. And that normal is going to stay. So we have to imagine how well we can take up the challenges in days to come. And finally, we have to look for many reforms. So these are the 5 R's that are very, very important if we have to navigate the new world. And therefore, the learning of risk management today is so important. I'm thankful to everyone present today, all the delegates who have joined today, all the participants of this course. I'm so glad to learn that the number is close to 90, and that really inspires a lot of confidence that it shows that people are willing to adopt and embrace the risk culture. This number of 90 will swell to a big number in days to come, and I'm very sure on behalf of RMAI, we can ensure we can assure you that we'll play this small role to educating people in risk management in days to come. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this small webinar, and with our best wishes to Mr. Sanjay Kumar and his other colleagues. I'm sure the course will be imparted in the best manner with the helps of many seasoned professionals to help you out there. Thank you so much for joining this webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Chaturaj. Thank you, Mr. Storm, for joining with us and sparing your valuable time. Thanks, Mr. Mishra, Mr. Reedy Banerjee, Mr. Kumar, Sanjay Kumar, and best of luck to all the participants. You will get the login details tomorrow morning, so you can just log into the website and start your courses. Thank you everyone, all the panelists and
Thanks.
all the participants.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.